morning, everybody. First of all, thanks for the Barcelona, Carla Rua, Noelia here, member of the clustering move, and also leaders, presidents of the commission and working group of multimodal logistics and technology. Thanks again for the Barcelona, and also congrats again for these wonderful premises. Also congrats everybody to this final event of the GAMMS project. Very interesting in the line of CCAM and PDI. A lot of room to roam, still room to roam. And just to introduce Carla Rua, Chief Innovation Officer of Port of Barcelona, is going to give us an initial lecture on opportunities from technology in these scenarios. Thank you very much, and congrats again.
Thank you, Ignacy. Where is the ambassador? Okay, first of all, welcome all of you to the Port of Barcelona. We are now in our facilities. We are not a partner of GAMMS project, but we like to collaborate with other initiatives. We are participating in some Europe 2020 and Europe Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe projects, not in this one, unfortunately, but we like to cooperate with other participants, with other projects and so on. So it's for us a pleasure to have you here. I would like to talk a little bit about our challenges as a Port of Barcelona, what's happening in our port, but you can generalize that to the problems that many ports have in terms of technology and so on, and how we are trying to solve this kind of things. Okay? No. It doesn't work. No. Okay. Now. Okay, this is our port. We are talking about more than 1,200 hectares of land surface. We are talking about more than 5,000 hectares of watershed or basins and water surface. And I have to say that we always say that this is a medium-sized port, not as big as the North European ports like Rotterdam or Antwerp or, of course, not Chinese ports, no, Shanghai or Singapore, but anyway, we are not bad for a Mediterranean size. No? We are very diversified. That means that we have many kinds of traffic. We have containers, we have cruises, the first port of cruises in all Europe. New cars, ferries, general cargo, dry bulk, liquid bulk. Most of the cargo you can find, there are in the Port of Barcelona. Okay. But I would like to tell you why the Port of Barcelona exists, and this is our mission. No, in fact, we are moving about 60 million tons, but our objective, in fact, is not to bring cargo to Barcelona. The objective is to help our companies, to help our hinterland, to do the business better. That means to import and export in an easy way. So at the end, we are here to help the companies surrounding Barcelona, in Spain and in the southwest of Europe, to create international businesses, to create international commerce. If we are able to facilitate the international commerce, then the cargo will come to the Port of Barcelona. But this is not the main objective. The main objective is to facilitate the companies to do their work in the best way. And for that, the technology is one of the points. Our vision, no vision. That's not good. Now, Okay. Our vision is to become a smart logistic hub. In fact, the smartest logistic hub in the Mediterranean, where smart means clever, means intelligent, means so on, but also it's the acronym of something that we believe in. We want to be sustainable. This is probably the most important thing for a port today with the energy transition and so on. We want to be multimodal, and that's all links with Rail Group and Ignasi and so on, okay? We want to be agile, and here the technology has a lot to say. We want to be resilient, and we want to be transparent. And in order to do that, we have many challenges. This is for the Port of Barcelona, but this is the main IT projects we are dealing with today. But in fact, I think that most of them are general to all European ports, okay? So when talking about our IT concerns, we are talking about these 8+1 challenges, difficulties, problems, things that we are trying to solve. The first one is something, it's a housekeeping issue, you know, to move to the cloud. It's like any other companies, we are trying to develop cloud systems, software as a services, infrastructure as a services, so we're moving from the on-site to the cloud. Oh, it has disappeared again. So, but the other ones, I think that are very relevant for the GAMMS project that we are working here, because we are talking about issues like the 5G deployment. Why the 5G deployment? Because the flow of information inside a port area is every time bigger. At this moment, as an example, we have about 600 cameras installed all around of the port. If you want to get a high-resolution image from 600 cameras at the same time on real time, you need a very good connection. Okay, that means that 5G is necessary for our development. We are talking about PCS. PCS is the Port Community System. The Port Community System of the Port of Barcelona means the interchange of information between the different agents, shipping agents, forwarding agents, terminals, ports, customs, and so on. So this is the nucleus of the development of the port activity. AI, IR, we believe really in the development of the artificial intelligence linked to the image recognition. Why? Because in a port, the things that happens are usually easy to recognize. A vessel, a truck with a placard, a container with a number. So the things we are managing are easily recognized by cameras, video, and something of artificial intelligence. So this is something we are working with on the development of a twin port with information about what's happening in the port. We are a public entity, so digital administration. And then there are two areas of the port that are not digitalized enough at this moment. So the road part of the port is more or less quite digitalized with virtual doors in the terminals and in the port and so on. But the rail and the vessel part needs some pushing on the digitalization on the development. No? So we are working on rail digitalization. At this moment we are developing a new control tower for the rail management, and we will develop a train management system for the port. And also we are trying to develop a GIT operations, just-in-time operations for the sea side of the port. Okay. And of course, cybersecurity, because we are a critical infrastructure, and of course, cybersecurity is one of the key elements for our development. So if you talk about a port, if you talk about IT in a port, those are the main issues we are facing today. How are we dealing with that? Okay. In fact, we are developing an innovation plan. We believe in the open innovation, and we are trying to develop a new strategy for bringing startups, IT ecosystem and so on to the Port of Barcelona. And we have created some instruments in order to do that. And I will just mention, because I have not time to explain in detail everything, some of the elements we are creating to help the companies to innovate in the Port of Barcelona. The first thing is that we have created a foundation. A new foundation, it's Barcelona Port Innovation. It's a private foundation just to help us to innovate. What's the idea? The idea is that startups and public entities does not fit. I mean, if I'm a public entity and you have a very good technology and I want to test it, I have to make an open tender. So maybe you win or not. But the question is that if I want to test your technology, not other one, your technology, I have no instruments to do that. So we have created a private foundation with the objective of testing this kind of new technologies, new ideas, new proposals, to fund a little bit, to put a little fund for the proof of concept, and then to try to scale up this new technology and so on. At the same time, we are creating a new ecosystem for innovation. This ecosystem is based in 4 elements. The first one is a network of training and research facilities, and inside the Port of Barcelona we have very recognized training facilities like the Faculty for Nautical Studies of Barcelona, the Escola Europea that we created 15 years ago, and some institutes for nautical and logistic studies. We are developing a network of innovation hubs. In fact, there are 2 of the most recognized, internationally recognized innovation hubs of Europe are here in the Port of Barcelona. The first one is Pier 01, that is located just 200 meters from here, or Norsken Barcelona House, that it's also located, it was opened 2 years ago, and it's located just another 200 meters from here. There are some innovation hubs near the port, not exactly inside the port, but the idea is that we want to create a specific hub for the development of the blue knowledge, of the blue technologies, and this is what we call Blue Tech Port, and it will be a reality in 2027. Then we are developing a set of testing facilities in the port. We have a 5G sandbox for the Port of Barcelona. If you go then to your breakfast and you look just here, you will see part of our sandbox where there are, yesterday they were testing a drone, an autonomous drone with some for bathymetries and so on, with a programmed route and in the seawater that it links with GAMMS. And so on. And also we want to bring here corporations, impact centers, and so on. Okay. One example is that a couple of weeks ago we announced that the Oceans Decade Center of the UNESCO for the oceans will come to Barcelona to implement. Okay. Things that we are also doing, Ports 4.0. This is a fund for startups, companies. In fact, it's for innovation. I mean, if you have an idea, you have a project, come to us and maybe we can fund it. Maybe. Not sure. But the idea is that we offer about 15,000 euros for an idea. It's a good price for a PowerPoint. Okay. But, yeah. Up to 1 million euros for a pre-commercial project, that means TRL from 3 to 7, and up to 2 million euros or 80% of the innovative component for a commercial project, TRL 7 to 9. Okay. This is a fund created by the Spanish ports, covering all the Spanish ports in management by Puertos del Estado, but the Port of Barcelona, as well as the rest of the Spanish ports, are putting as a fund 1% of their income inside this fund that then is split in projects and ideas that can be presented by any company from all around the world. The only requirement is that the prototype, the proof of concept has to be done in a Spanish port, but the company can come from anywhere in the world. Okay. This will be our reality in 2027. I've told you about Blue-Tech Port. This is the building we are developing that will be a reality in a couple of years. But that means 25,000 square meters for innovation, startups, scale-ups, research centers, and so on, all related to port management, port activity, maritime, and blue economy. This is a render. I mean, this is not the real, but we hope it will seem something like that. But meanwhile, we have developed some small spaces for innovation in form of co-workings that are getting this image of Blue-Tech Port, okay? And now there are some companies, about 30 companies are related to Blue-Tech Port and are part of our ecosystem of startups. And as a sandbox, we are working with different initiatives. These are some of the testing areas that we have developed all around of the port, and I will just mention some initiatives that can be related to GAMMS and so on. This is the testing area just behind our work. You can see from the terrace now when during your breakfast, and this is the photo is from the day before yesterday, because this is the drone they were testing for bathymetries, small one, okay. This is something we had here some months ago. It's an autonomous bus that we were testing here in the port during a couple of months. It was a very interesting test because Pendle, the company we asked us, because we were not part of the project, but it was very interesting for us to get it tested, asked for a controlled environment to test the bus in autonomous way and so on. And we go, okay, we will put in the middle of a jungle because, we select an itinerary, but there were tourists with luggage, buses, heavy traffic, trucks, taxis, and so on, all fitting with so on, and the bus in the middle. So it was, una prueba de fuego, a fire test for them to survive to this not very pleasant environment for an autonomous vehicle. This is another idea that we are using, the use of technology like LIDAR for recognizing cargo and shapes in the port environment. This is on the terminals to identify the exact size of the cargo, but then to get a better planning of the transport. Virtual gates, this is working in the port. I mean, you have recognizing the container, the truck, and also you have a PIN code for the driver. If every fits, then the port opens, and if not, it continues. So this has been working for many years. 5G Maritime, this is a part of another Horizon 2020 project. The idea is to complement the radar and the AIs with cameras to better location of vessels. Because the main problem is that the small vessels, like rowing vessels or some sailing vessels, do not have AIs. So the use of cameras allow us to identify many elements and so on. And that's all. This is some examples of what we are doing. And Ignasi, if you want to continue.
Thank you very much, Carlos. I don't know if I have some questions scheduled in the room. Maybe if not, we may convey to Carlos the questions. So thanks very much, Carlos, and also all the attendants. In name of the cluster, I'm the director of the cluster in Move Fiber Group. We have been involved in many projects together with our members, Port of Barcelona, NID, Tenelac, and many others. And in the line of CCAM PDI, we are around 100 million euros in projects up to date. So, I think we are at your disposal if you need more information on the activities of the cluster. My colleague, Sandra, is going to attend the whole of the session, and then with pleasure we will follow up whatever issues you will have. Thank you very much, and thanks, Carlos, again. I pass the floor to Ana Mota.
So good morning, everyone, and once again, welcome to the final event of the GAMMS project. My name is Anna Motta, and I'll be leading you through today's program. Thank you very much, Carles and Ignacy, for setting the stage. Next, we hear from Ismael Colomina, the founder of Geonumerics and coordinator of the GAMMS project. He will present the project's vision, the challenges we addressed, and the broader European context behind our work. Ismael, please.
Bon dia, buenos días, bonjour, bon dia, guten Morgen. I start this way because I would like to start by thanking all the people, all the partners of GAMMS who made a long way to come here and be with us. So thank you again, especially to those of you who came from abroad. And before going into the few slides and ideas that I prepared for you, I would like to, maybe a pity that Carlos Rua is not here any longer, but maybe some of you or any of you can tell him that I was happy to listen to his presentation. I was prepared to one of these boring institutional presentations when you go to meetings where they, talk and you just disconnect and concentrate on your next presentation. Because we have a few PowerPoint presentations that we might, could sell for 15,000 K, and also because he mentioned GAMMS a few times, saying that he would like to have participated in the project. So please tell him that after these remarks, I will be chasing him for new projects, and he will have no excuse not to accept being part of the project, because, having Port of Barcelona in a project is something when you try to compete against other projects. So I was very impressed by what he said, and please tell him. Now to the project, to GAMMS. Let's see if I can survive this, test with the other way around, maybe? Yeah, okay. Now, this is the final event of a project named GAMMS. GAMMS means Galileo GNSS-based autonomous mobile mapping system. And here we are basically combining two concepts. You will see autonomy and mobile mapping. And we combine these two concepts in an idea that you will see. I will try to describe, to introduce, using Galileo and GNSS. As you know, GNSS is a common name. It means any of the existing satellite-based navigation systems, one of them being Galileo. I will have Galileo here, not just because we wanted to get money from the European Union, and then you have to use Galileo, of course, but also because Galileo has some unique features that we wanted to leverage for our project. And as I said, this is the final event, and then I also take the opportunity to thank representatives of other projects who came here and will present their contributions and therefore be able to generate some synergies and some interesting discussion with us. By the way, I am the coordinator and Geonomerics. My company is the coordinator of this project, and we were introduced. I have to say that the project has been coordinated in two different phases. The first phase was coordinated by Geosat, a French mapping company, and we have here today Jean-Baptiste de la Rivière. So the credit for this coordination goes to Geosat and to Geonomerics, 50%, or maybe 60% to you, 40% for us, I don't know. So that was something I had to say. Now, when you talk about autonomous vehicles, I am not a specialist in autonomous vehicles. We have here at least one specialist, which is Dr. Selim Solmath, who will be also presenting the technology later on. I know that there are a number of levels of automation, so from no automation, which was my last car, to some automation, which is my current car, almost nothing, to full automation, where basically you could be sitting on a car and the car will bring you from A to B, and you might be reading or watching your smartphone, whatever. These higher levels of automation, where you basically don't drive, you let the car drive, require high definition maps. Not exactly, but a bit like we humans need maps to go from A to B, because we don't know the environment, we might not be familiar with the street, we are not on the roads, we might not be familiar with the traffic signs, so these cars need maps. Now, as you can imagine, these maps must be accurate and must be up to date. Obviously, you cannot rely on a map which is not accurate, because then it will generate accidents and a number of other problems. And you cannot rely on a map which is not up to date, because if there is some work going on the road, this might be in the map. Otherwise, you are in trouble. And as you can imagine, this having maps for all the world, or all where you believe your car will be operating, is not an easy task. It is very expensive, and it takes a lot of time. And there are a number of strategies to produce those maps. And one of the strategies is to, I have it somewhere, combine some, let's say, professional mapping techniques with some other techniques I will be commenting on future. Now, the project is, the idea of this project is the result of some brainstorming between these two companies. Geosat, as I mentioned, a map maker, and Genomerics, my company, here in Barcelona. Geosat is based in Bordeaux, in France, and Genomerics here in Barcelona, my company, in Castelldefels, actually. They are map makers, this is clear. Map makers produce maps, and we are position makers. Now, what does it mean? I was trying to simplify things, but we are a company basically of mathematicians, and we are specialists in computing coordinates given measurements. This is what we do, and that's what we call ourselves a position maker. So we were sort of brainstorming about many ideas that we had in common, and one of the things that called our attention already many years ago, I would say 6 or 7 years ago, was these high definition maps, HD maps, because Geosat, I would say, very looking forward company in this respect, especially in Europe, was thinking of, well, how could we participate of this business? How could we contribute our technology to this? So that was the origin of the idea. And something here, one logo got where it should not be. But anyway, as I said, maps have to be accurate and up to date. Now, one way of producing these maps, if you think of this vector as a timeline, is that you produce what we call a base zero epoch base map in a traditional way, maybe I would say not manually, but in a traditional way, by collecting data, images, positioning data, laser data, and then in a more or less automated way, but let's say traditional way, you collect this map. Then this map will become obsolete as time goes by, and we will update it with, say, crowdsourcing methods, with contributions of normal drivers who might collect images, etc. But it comes then to a point, as any map, when you sort of, the map becomes a bit rotten, so you have to do it again, and then we have another base HD map, and this is done with the professional means like those that Geosat has. And it goes like that. This is one model. I don't know if there are others, but this is one model. And we thought, and then we further thought of what we could do here. Now, the first idea, there are three ideas in this project, basically. The first idea was that maybe we could turn mobile mapping systems into a super autonomous vehicle. And now I think that I should have put here a photo of a mobile mapping system, but a mobile mapping system is one of these, or a part of a mobile mapping system is one of these cars that you might see roaming on your streets and roads, which is filled with sensors. It is like one of these Google cars, right? And this mobile mapping system, the acquisition part, these vans, really are equipped with a luxury of motion sensing devices. Like they have geodetic grade GNSS receivers, like this might be, worth 5,000 euros, 10,000 euros, maybe two of them. Navigation grade or high-end tactical grade inertial units, maybe 50,000 euros, something like that, or more. Odometers, professional laser scanners, high-resolution cameras. There are other lower-cost systems, but this is the typical configuration. Now, if you compare this configuration with the configuration of sensors that a normal car has, this is really luxury. So a mobile mapping system could behave, could be, let's say, driven as an autonomous vehicle because of the luxury of these vehicles. So this was one idea. So why do not combine these two technologies? Because maybe then data collection for this mobile mapping system, for this high-definition mapping, could be done in a, let's say, autonomous way. Second idea was to leverage the features of modern GNSS. And let me underline the concept of modern GNSS, because the inconvenient truth is, for us pundits of the GNSS technology since many years now, since the GPS times, that the autonomous vehicles use GNSS, use GPS, use Galileo marginally. And I believe that Dr. Solmath can confirm this. And there are three good reasons for that. I would say two objective reasons and one subjective reason. One reason is that, as we know from recent events in conflict areas, GNSS signals can be spoofed, can be easily jammed, not easily spoofed. I believe I didn't save the right version of the slides. So GNSS signals can be easily jammed and can be spoofed, which means that you cannot always count with these signals. This is not a joke, because I was a few weeks ago in Poland attending a meeting, and the mapping agency of Poland, the equivalent of the Instituto Geográfico Nacional in Spain or Instituto Cartográfico de Cataluña in here, they are not able to produce maps because all of their flights are jammed by Russian vessels and they don't have GNSS. And technology has today developed in such a way that if you don't have GNSS, you don't have a map. That's how it works. So this is not a joke. Fortunately, here is not happening, but it's not a joke, but it could happen. Anyone could jam easily all the traffic in Barcelona. And the other thing is that GNSS signals can suffer from obstructions, reflections, and multipath. It could be that a signal that comes from a satellite does not get into our mobile mapping system. It might be that one signal comes from the satellite, but it is also reflected in other buildings, and this is a mess, and this is what we call multipath. And this generates errors. And therefore, and Marta will show it to you, my colleague, how this plays havoc against quality maps. And I have to say that, and the third reason, I will comment on the other figure later on, is that the bosses of today autonomous vehicle technology systems, like Dr. Solmath, were the students when they were running the past experiments with all GPS technology. And many decisions that are made today on the use of GNSS are based on the experience of these guys who make the decisions based on the experience of 20 years ago. So we have a problem here, because GNSS has its problems, but it is not what it was 20 years ago. So I know that Selim is not one of those. Anyway, and this is just to showcase how this technology, GNSS technology, has changed in the past years. This is a plot prepared by one of the company of the participants here, of Felipe, where you see the impact of multipath. And this is like GPS, so for the same multipath, you might have an effect of almost 10 meters in the ranging, but with modern signals of Galileo, you might have maybe just 1 meter. Big difference, right? Plus, there is new technology, new GNSS technology being developed, like low Earth orbiting satellites and all this. Anyway, so number three idea was to use artificial intelligence to speed up the mapping process. And here, actually, I started working after I finished my studies at the Institute of Cartography, and already then, many years ago, I am an old guy, they were still thinking of automating the mapping process. I left the slide void because I have no idea of AI, but this was obviously the idea of GeoSat. They said, we want to use these tools to produce maps and to certify maps rapidly. So those are the three ideas behind the project. Now, let me provide you some figures. And, yeah, sorry. Another typo here. This is exactly the same number, 10 to the minus 8, but this is different sizes for the. So this is to see how challenging the whole thing is. Those are the navigation accuracy and integrity requirements for the vehicles, for the autonomous vehicles. I don't know whether this is exactly what in Europe is being required, but this is a paper in year 2019, where Tyler Wright first investigated the requirements of these autonomous vehicles, and more or less I would say they are about the same. And you can see that one thing is accuracy, by the way, the other is integrity. It's a bit different. Accuracy is about the actual error. Integrity is about the capacity that I have to predict my error with some probability error. And this is what we have here. So I cannot go beyond 20 centimeters with a probability of error which has to be less than 10 to the minus 8. And this is the challenge we are facing when navigating autonomous vehicles. And therefore, you can translate this requirement from the navigation of the autonomous vehicle into the map. So the maps cannot be bad, have to be very accurate. So this is a challenge for this map making. So back to GAMMS. So we integrated, we have these basic three technologies here, the autonomous vehicles. This is a car from Virtual Vehicle in Graz, the Galileo satellites. And here I put an example of the mobile mapping system that I should maybe have put before you. You can see the system loaded with sensors. This is, by the way, an old system, 1995. That was the system invented by the Ohio State University in 1995. And I always keep this image from the Transmap company to credit their contribution. So, but this was not all, because obviously what is geonomatics doing here? So all these systems collect measurements, and then we have to process them, and we have to prepare mathematical models for the sensors. We have to devise optimal estimation methods that are fast, that are accurate. We have to also estimate those integrity values in real time. So this is what we do at Geonomatics. So also this is the fourth component of the project. If you are interested in details like those in here, my colleagues are around and you are interested in integrity, I will put you in contact with a lady which does integrity. If you are interested with sensor fusion, I will put you in contact with a lady which does sensor fusion. So, however, when you go into the details, you have to do a bit more than just the fundamental technologies, and here is how we put together the project by going to the nitty-gritty of the whole thing and then thinking that we need the high-definition maps, we need GNSS technology, we need mobile mapping systems technology, and so on and so forth. And we also even here thought of using mathematical models of the vehicle motion to constrain the trajectory computation so we can get rid of the errors that I just showed before, these multipath and reflection errors. And to be honest, we are not done because this is very difficult. We are investigating, keep on investigating all this. And because of this, we included all these participants in here. So Geosat, as I said, Solid Potatoes are a company in Finland. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here. They contribute one of the layer of the high definition map, which is status of the road, so you can drive faster or slower. Then we had Deimos, now part of Indra, which was developing a GNSS Galileo receiver using these type of new signals. Then Pildo Labs, also not here, but contributing a company in Barcelona, contributing to the risk analysis. Then autonomous vehicle was brought by Virtual Vehicle, Austrian company. And then our sensor fusion tools and Enide, I guess you all know Enide, who was putting things together and letting the rest of the world know what we were doing here. So now technology is against me. No way. Please, can you do it? Okay. Now, I am running short of time, I know, but we organized the project in 3 phases. We, in iterative incremental way, this is maybe a method, for some of you, to develop things in a incremental way, recognizing the complexity of things, and then you have to go to the field, experiment, teach, learn lessons, and then try again. So we did the project in 3 phases. This project was originally planned from 2021 to 2023, but we had a number of unbelievable things. Everything that could happen happened. Like we had snow in Finland when you had to do the test. Actually, it was a bit stupid to plan organized tests in Finland because you're always subject to snow conditions. Many people left in different companies. So in the end, we came up with this project, which began in 2021 and is ending by the end of this month. And I put here, obviously not to go into the details, but to acknowledge the endurance, the patience of all the consortium, because circumstances were a bit unfortunate, but I have to tell you that we were counting with stubborn participants, especially my people, Marta, who was processing data in, not so easy. So, and with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Just a few slides, very general, easy to prepare. The details, the difficult things come now, after my presentation. So above all, thanks to the GAMMS participants, thanks to the speakers that came from abroad today, obviously to the organizers of the event, who did it in a very short record time, and for the rest of you, enjoy the meeting. So thanks for your attention. And obviously, if there are any questions, I am ready to try to answer them, and if not, pointing to the right person.
I think it's very easy. Thanks so much for your presentation. I am Francisco from ITEC. I know that this is a new but see myself proud to be over the advances of this innovations. I have so
Yes, there is. Now, the first point that you made is true, but I would like to underline it, because we participate in many different projects, and recently we participated in a defense project, and I was a bit afraid of repeating something that was already done in the US. And then I went to the project officer and said to him, look, here we might have this problem because, patents and things like that. And they said to me, if they have it, we must have it, because otherwise we are falling behind. So this is already an asset, something that you have to do, as you recognize. But I am not contradicting you, I'm just underlining the importance of this, that we have to develop the technology, and sometimes reinventing the wheel is necessary. Because if you do not reinvent it, you will never understand it well. But this said, yes, there are differences, and the differences are that if you think of the Google can be very precise. And if I am not wrong, is all these, there are a few publications of Paul Diderot using the Google buildings to let's say, estimate multipath and to compensate for all that. Now, in this project, we are putting the accent in the autonomous capacity of the vehicle and the capacity of its sensors, because we are using the new features of Galileo. That was one thing. And the other thing we were using or trying to use, we were investigating that we are still there, these vehicle dynamic models, which is, to my knowledge, has not been used previously in this. We are not yet done. We have many open questions, but that was a novelty. And there are a few other ones in the virtual vehicle domain, let's say domain, in the GeoSat artificial intelligence way of producing the map, but this I would like to leave for my colleagues to answer. Any other question? I guess there are no other questions. Anyway, we have to give the word to the next speaker. So thanks again.
Thank you, Ismael, and thank you for the questions as well. So now we welcome Eduardo Escalona, who will be joining us remotely from the European Union Agency for the Space Program. Eduard will present us the EU space program, and which is a key enabler for the future of precise and safe mobility across Europe and beyond. So Eduard, thank you for being with us virtually.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really sorry I cannot be there with you in person in my hometown, Barcelona. I happen to be there in August, but it will be on holidays, so I can meet you for leisure, but not for business. But anyway, I'm happy to be participating in this event, even remotely. And and having followed the project for all these last years, with all its ups and downs, but finally with very successful results, and really proud of what the project has achieved. So I hope I will not deliver a boring institutional presentation, as Ismail was saying. It's a bit of mix of both, but hopefully it will be interesting for you, the presentation, and for those that who don't know who is USPA, I'm going to give a little bit of a glimpse of the things that we do. So yeah, if you can start with sharing the presentation. Okay, I see it's on the screen, right? Very good. So yes, as USPA, we have been on for quite a while, or maybe as an agency from the European Union, since 2002, when the Galileo joint undertaking started, let's say. Since then, we have been evolving from that to the current agency, which is USPA, which different phases, and each phase extended the scope and ambition of the space activities across all the EU, and gave more responsibility to the agency, till the shape that we are now, following the last year's space regulation, which was consolidating most of the EU space initiatives from the European Union under a single umbrella, which is USPA. So next slide, please. And next slide. Thank you. So when I say space components or initiatives, I'm referring to these ones on the screen. So we started with the satellite navigation systems by the European Union, which are EGNOS and Galileo. But then slowly we were taking more responsibilities on other components, with the Earth observation one, with Copernicus, and now recently with development of the secure satellite communication systems, Galileo, GOVSATCOM and IRIS², but as well with some responsibilities on the space situational awareness system that it's in operation. So I'll give a little bit more of detail of each of one of these. So we can go to the next slide. In general, what we have responsibility as an agency on all these components is on exploitation, security, and utilization. What this means? So exploitation, basically, we mean with the service provisioning, so all the services that are happening for GNSS, for Galileo, EGNOS, and for the future definition of GOVSATCOM and IRIS². In terms of security, is even broader, so it's a whole accreditation, security monitoring, and supporting of the EU security and defense strategies for all the components, for all the space components. But as well, we have a quite specific role on promoting the utilization of all these assets. So all these assets are free. It's owned by the European Union, and they're free for all the citizens globally, actually, with some specific services for European use. But one of the responsibilities we have is to drive the market uptake, help innovate using these assets, and develop applications for all these space components. So this is mostly where GAMMS project comes in as part of one of our projects in our Horizon Europe portfolio. So next slide, please. No worries. So yeah, I just wanted to give a glimpse a little bit of the services that I mentioned before. So the first one is EGNOS. So this is basically a satellite-based augmentation geostationary system that basically is enhancing the normal GNSS accuracy for GPS, and this providing more reliability, especially for safety critical applications. We have some specific services developed under EGNOS for maritime and aviation with safety of life. There is also specific service for delivery of the corrections through internet, which is EDAS, and we are planning to develop a new future service on rail that is currently under preparation. EGNOS, just to show you know how well utilized it is in all these services. It's currently operational in more than 480 airports and heliports across Europe. It's already as well widely adopted, for example, in agriculture where more than almost 100% of all tractors that include that are equipped with GNSS are including EGNOS as part of their systems. Next slide, please. So as per Galileo itself, so Galileo is the European version of the global navigation satellite systems. It provides open, high accuracy, and secure positioning and timing services as well. And it's let's say the characteristic is independently operated by the European Union. So it's the only GNSS system that it's civilian, let's say, and worldwide. So compared to other ones like GPS, GLONASS, Beidou, and so on. There are currently more than 4 billion Galileo-enabled receivers worldwide, mostly for mass market. So probably if you bought a smartphone in the last 4 years, it includes Galileo already. So you have Galileo in your hands. And there are some key services that are provided in the context of Galileo. So of course we have the open service, which includes as well a dedicated authentication service or CNMA, but as well we have some other specialized service like public regulated service, which is an encrypted service specifically for governmental use, search and rescue service, the high accuracy service, that is the one that GAMMS has used, and I will give more details on this service later on, and other services that are under preparation as part of the evolution of the program. Next slide, please. Then we have the Earth observation system, Copernicus, which is basically the world leader in providing open space data, and it really provides vital information on different aspects like atmosphere, marine, land, climate change, security, and emergencies. So it's data and some insights and information that are derived from the data that's provided by the satellite as well, and as some in situ sensors. And all these data can support a wide range of applications from disaster management, environmental monitoring, urban planning, energy in the energy sector, or as well for security operations and so on. Next, please. Then we have the, let's say, more recent services that are still under development. The first one is GovSatcom, that is basically for secure satellite communications. This one is specifically for governmental users, so it ensures secure and robust communications, especially the target applications it's for crisis management and border security, but it can be used for any governmental users or national public authorities. Next one, and as well you might have heard of IRIS², which is the new and evolved, let's say, secure connectivity program. It's the next generation, let's say, of GovSatcom, but more extended use. It's of course in definition and preparation, but it will be a multi-orbit secure connectivity system. And what it intends, as it was defined, is as an enabler for a resilient and digital Europe, whatever it means. So basically, it's just to provide a kind of backup and additional connectivity means for complementary to ground connectivity. And finally, the next slide is the space surveillance and tracking service, which is a space situational awareness, which basically is a service that monitors and assesses risks from space debris, re-entries from satellites in space, and as well space weather, to monitor space weather. And the role of USPA in this service is basically to provide the front desk of SST and also coordination of the EU partners for avoiding collisions, for example, or analysis of fragmentations of debris. So we can go to the next slide, and here I will give you a bit more of details of the Galileo service and what has the project GAMMS used. So the main service of Galileo is the open service. This is open and free for everyone to use. That is the one that is already available on your smartphones. It's provided with dual frequency, and we actually provide constantly performance reports. So we monitor the performance of Galileo compared with other constellations. Here you can see the comparison, and you can also get these reports. They are publicly available. We do this performance evaluation consistently, and we can see that Galileo it's really outperforming all the other constellations. It delivers superior accuracy compared to other GNSS constellations, mostly in the case of dual frequency. I'm not giving details on these slides, but it's just you can see. And if you want to get really more details, you can download the reports on the Galileo Service Center website that is available for everybody. Next slide, please. Galileo has been putting satellites there for quite some years now. Last year, we delivered the last set of satellites, which basically now the constellation has 31 satellites, out of which 26 are fully in operation. And actually what it means is that the full operational capacity, which hasn't been declared officially, but it states that the minimum number of satellites to be considered FOC ready, like full operational capacity ready, is 24. So now we have 26 in operation. So we could consider now that Galileo is fully operational in its final phase, even if the official declaration has not been done, which we expect it will happen at some point this year. Next slide, please. So one of the evolved services that we have provided within Galileo and that we are still providing is the Galileo High Accuracy Service. This is the one that GAMMS is using. It is a service that provides real-time precise positioning corrections globally. So it's corrections over Galileo signals. The intention is that this service has to achieve better than 20 centimeters horizontally of positioning and better than 40 centimeters vertically with more than 95% of confidence. But this is of course under nominal conditions, meaning open sky and static. So depending on the conditions, this might vary, but this would be the assurance that the service is providing. All these corrections are free of to access via directly Galileo signals from E6B, but as well from the internet. But as well, it will support both corrections of both Galileo and GPS constellations. The initial services were declared in January 2023, so they're already in operation for a couple of years, and the full service is expected to be available in 2026, so as of next year, with two different service levels. So there will be one service level globally, which will be available anywhere on the Earth, and the second service level, which it's more focused regionally for the European coverage area, which basically the difference is that it will include some atmospheric ionospheric corrections, which will improve the performance in terms of convergence time and accuracy and so on. Next slide, I will show you a little bit of the okay, there's an animation, I forgot about that, but it's basically what I said. So in this next slide, as I said, we're also analyzing the performance of the high accuracy service. Here, even if you don't understand the slide, but basically the red line is the minimum performance level that has been specified in the service definition. So everything let's say in the first two columns, which are corresponding to orbit corrections, and the second one to clock corrections, whatever is better than, so lower than the minimum performance level is good. So we can see that we are outperforming the specified minimum performance level in the service. In the service definition, and in the right column is the availability. So the better availability to the minimum defined is the better. So in all these parameters, it really outperforms the minimum level specified. Next slide, please. Here we can see I have two slides for different scenarios. So the static scenario, which will be more the nominal one in open sky. So here this is a test that was done in Munich. And as you can see, if you can read the values, so it consistently in different days it achieved a horizontal accuracy between 1 and 4 centimeters and a vertical of between 1 and 6 centimeters with 68% of confidence, which are very, very good results, so much better than the 20 centimeters minimum that we identified. In the next slide, we can see the dynamic scenario, so it means something that is moving. The next slide, please. This one, so this was a test that was done evaluating the positioning of a vessel that was navigating along the Irish coast. So you can see here on the map the different path that the vessel was following. And in this scenario, it was with a 68% of confidence, it was achieving between 13 and 17 centimeters of horizontal accuracy and between 14 and 16 of vertical accuracy. So these are very good results as well, considering that it's fully open service and this can be achieved just with a receiver, a single receiver. Next slide, please. So this, since we declared the service, of course, first comes the service declaration. We did some testing before with some manufacturers, so they could be ready on the market. But since then, more and more manufacturers are developing the capabilities to support Galileo, Galileo high accuracy service. So this is a list. It's probably not exhaustive by the moment that we did the slide, but down there you can see the link. We try to keep that updated, monitoring all the manufacturers. So if you follow the link, you will see the current list of manufacturers that are supporting high accuracy service. You will see a huge range of different type of receivers for targeting applications such as surveying, maritime agriculture, even robotics, and so on. Okay, so next slide. So what we do as well, apart from providing all the services, as I said, is to promote the usage of this service. For that, we have some funding opportunities and different programs. One of them is Cassini. Cassini is a program that stimulates innovation and entrepreneurship across all the use-based ecosystem. So it's more focusing to startups, creation of ideas and products. Then we have Horizon Europe, which is more focused on research and development for all the development of downstream, space downstream applications. What we call downstream is everything that is using space technologies. And this is where, in this program, actually in the previous one, Horizon 2020, but where GAMMS project was granted. And we have as well the fundamental elements platform, let's say, that it provides support to development of receivers, antennas, and chipsets. So more talking about hardware that is implementing Galileo and Galileo services. Next slide, please. So in the context of Horizon Europe, we have different calls. So for each MFF and for each of the programs, we have, as USPA, have some budget delegated from the European Commission, and we are implementing the calls ourselves. We have had several in the past, but the next one, which is the fourth call of Horizon Europe for us, it will be, it's already advertised actually as part of the work program 2025 in the digital industrial space cluster. So you can have the information of the two calls that we have planned, but officially it will be open in October. So the submissions will be open from October until February, more or less. It's still not fully defined. You can get more information about these two calls, which are specifically for innovation actions, with an approximate budget of overall of 15 million euros. And I think we have one last slide, or I think, yeah, this is my last final slide. If you want to follow all the development opportunities that we are doing in the agency, you can subscribe to our newsletter. It's called WTC Space. We are really there promoting all the different opportunities, the different areas for Cassini, for Horizon, and as well we're providing news on the program and the development of the services. So that was it from my side. So thanks again for the invitation. I hope it was useful and not too institutionally boring.
Thank you, Edward. We now move into the core sessions of the event. We will have presentations of the key results and outcomes of the GAMMS project, and we will start with Marta Blázquez from Geonomerics, who will introduce the contributions and later moderate the Q&A at the end.
No, it's okay, it's okay. Thank you very much. I have to pass. Okay, I'm Marta Blázquez from Geonomerics. And the CTO, I'm in charge of some techniques in GAMMS, mainly related to trajectory determination. So Geonomerics in GAMMS as, oops, is not the correct one. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay. Geonomerics in GAMMS is in charge nowadays in the project coordination, as Ismael said. Previously, we was in charge of the state-of-the-art analysis at the beginning of the project. And now it's not supposed to be so big, but the focus of the main focus of the presentation is the trajectory determination, the test plan with my colleagues of GeoSat and Virtual Vehicle, and the analysis of the results with all the team of the project. Okay, mainly the focus of the presentation today is to show you the results related to the trajectory determination based on GNSS, because we are now processing all the second test campaign data sets, and we are working on this, so I can present you now this GNSS. In this case, we have some requirements for multi-constellation. In this case, basically using GPS and Galileo, the European and American system. Some Galileo differentiators, as Eduard presented you previously, the high accuracy service, the important for us E5 Albox signal, the OCNMA, the triplet frequency that we can have nowadays with Galileo and also with GPS, and the use of a chip-scale atomic clock with our GNSS receivers. Then we use other, okay, let me go. Okay, other sensors that it was in the, no, it's okay. They were in our system that we were integrated. The first one is the IMU, Inertial Measurement Unit, some vehicle actuators for the vehicle dynamic models used for our colleagues of the EPFL, an odometer, some control visual features or visual odometry. And we also did, for this trajectory determination, we integrate some hardware from some GNSS receivers, the Septentrio, Javad, with our navigation computer, where we estimate the trajectory in real time, and we also process later on offline. Okay. Ismael show you briefly this scheme is our system for estimating the trajectory. In this case, we have several. Okay, I don't know if it's working. This no. Okay, we have several sensors on the left, and we get the data from the sensors and go to a driver. This driver is in charge of analyze and select, and depends on the sensors, and then provide the data to our system. It's called NIXA, with the Astrolabe format. Is a generic format useful for every kind of sensor. It's an open source with our colleagues of the CTTC. And this input of our system, it could be offline or online, sockets, files, binary, you know. And to Nexa is in charge of merge and sort the data by the time. Then we have Nexa, is our agnostic machine of computation, and it estimates the trajectory with an iterated extended camera filtering sequential. And this tool doesn't know anything about the models, okay? The models, the equations, everything is in our dynamic survey toolbox. So it means that we can use the same platform for whatever sensor that we need. So the sensor is plugging, we have the driver, we get the data, and we estimate the trajectory using this data. Then the output is go to Nexa2 to manage about the interface, and then the trajectory analyzer and so on, what Ismail explained related to integrity and so on. Okay, briefly, we were in the test planning. In this case, here you have in the middle of the slide an image of our trajectories. We start in the virtual vehicle office, up to the right, and then they drive for a residential area with small houses, doing some turns for crossovers, and for our dynamic networks estimation. Then we go to some roundabouts. We have a channel, okay? Then we go to the area of the autonomous driving is allowed for them. Then this area is a commercial area, so we have a highway. And then we go to the city center with these higher houses. You see some pictures from the different areas. Right up you have a city center. Right down you have a small area, this residential area. On the left you have the bus station where it starts the autonomous driving. Okay, for testing our systems, we have an iterative incremental project, so it means that we have three iterations. At the beginning, we develop our subsystems, each partner. We test it in our houses and so on. Then we have the first iteration. And the end of this iteration was a test campaign in November last year. And what we did first was some integration tests to integrate all the subsystems, the demos receiver that my colleague Felipe will explain you later on, to integrate the mobile mapping system from GeoSat. In that case, it was a Robin mobile mapping system, and our navigation computer where we compute the trajectory in real time, and the autonomous vehicle, of course, from virtual vehicle. And all of this was integrated, tested in the lab in some parking area, and then we ran 3 complete drives in the same pattern as you saw previously. Then we have a second test campaign. In this second test campaign was last May. So we perform again some iteration tests. We install everything, but in this case we have another mobile mapping system. It was a Pegasus Lake mobile mapping system, so it was a little bit heavy. And then we integrate also the IMU in real time. It sends from virtual vehicle to our navigation computer. And then we have, in this case, we were able to complete 4 drives, the same pattern as you see, so in the previous slides. And then we have 2 live streamings. I think that they are available, or at least 15 minutes of the live streams to see how it was. In this case, we have just a picture of what we can see in our screens, not in the autonomous vehicle screen. This is in the live stream, you can see it. This is our stream to compute our trajectory in real time. Okay, briefly, and not boring to you, some results related to trajectory determination in this case. Basically based on GNSS, as I said previously. We are now working with the IMUs. And just as a summary, let me tell you that you will have at the end of the project, at the end of this month, will be available a final report. It's public, so you will have some of these results and you can see and check and ask questions to us. It's up to you, it's free. So here, what we try to do here is just to show you the multi-constellation capacity of our software and GPS. In this case was GPS and Galileo. It was a PPP, classical PPP of line validation. It was a test in an urban area, the second day in the afternoon, 11 minutes. And it's just to show you that, for example, a GraphNav commercial software, this PPP with the same conditions, same areas and same data sets, our performance is similar, okay? They have a root mean squares between the PPP solution against a reference solution in differential mode. It was 0.6 and we have 0.4, 1 and 0.8, 1 meter and 0.6. So it's comparable. So we, are confident of our software. So on the right you have our results in a graphic plot, and on the left you see a runabout. Is just a print to show you. Okay, and this is the same. Here you have the black points are the reference solution, is a differential mode computed solution with all the data sets and so on. And on the right we have, in green, we have our PPP post-process solution. Okay, one of the Galileo differentiation was the high accuracy service. In this case, what is available, as Edward said previously, was we have access to orbit corrections and clock corrections plus pseudo-range corrections. The carrier corrections are not available nowadays, so we cannot get the PPP performance that it was expected in all the cases. In this case, what you can see here is the test 4 is what the second. It's just an example. It's not too boring you with all the results. Just a few slides. In this case, you see on the right, the plot where you have up is north is down, and in black is the single point positioning with code pseudo range. Double Galileo E1 and E5A is double frequency, and in red you have the same adding the high accuracy service. It means adding the orbit clocks corrections plus pseudo range corrections. This is a static and in urban areas, so you can see here the good performance of the high accuracy service. This is again to show you in the map. This is some of the patterns that we follow to have these crossovers to help in the trajectory determination with vehicle dynamic models and dynamic networks. Another Galileo differentiation that we was testing and validating was the E5 Albox signal. In this case, it's just an example again, is urban area, and processing with just pseudo range in real time. This is forward. And in this case, you see here the performance of E1 plus E5A in black. In blue, you have E1 plus E5B, and in red, you have E1 plus E5 Alboc. So you can see here the advantage of using this kind of signal in urban areas where we have this multipath and with this frequency. Another test that was in the project and we were validating was the use of the triple frequency. In the case is Galileo. This is again a static and urban area. For the second test campaign. On the left, you see the results. It means it's always the difference between our results against the reference solution. Okay, I didn't say. Sorry. And on the left, you see with two frequencies, E1 and E5A. On the right, you have adding the same results, adding E6. Okay, you can see when we have lost some signals and some satellites, we have these problems as you see in the trajectory, but the recovery with three frequencies is better and it's faster than with just two frequencies. Even E6 is noisier than the other signals. I'm not going to bore you with all the details of this slide. It's just one of the examples that you will find in the final report to check everything and to show you that this is an urban area, again, 11 minutes, just for analysis. And you see here, again, the root mean squares of the difference in between our result, what we get from our system in different modes against a reference solution. In this case, you can see that we were performing a single point positioning plus high accuracy service, using code and pseudo range and carrier phase plus has corrections even we don't have phase corrections for has, the classical PPP. In black, you have a line. These lines represents the GraphNAV PPP just using GPS. In pink, you have the line represents the root mean squares of the solution of the graph nav PPP against the reference solution, but in this case using GPS and Galileo. So Galileo is improving the results, as Eduard showed you previously. And here you see that we perform different modes for GNSS and different signals, different combinations. In this case, the different Galileo signals. Always here you have double frequency, and the first one is just GPS, the last one is GPS plus Galileo if I valve. So with this kind of tables and plots, we can study the good performance of our PPP and the improvements of the high accuracy service in most of the coordinates of the in north we have some problems, in east and down it's perfect. And okay, and the last one. In this case, we are now working with the IMUs. We have in this project 2 IMUs, and these 2 IMUs are different from the previous IMU that we have in the first test campaign. In the first test campaign, we have AIGI IMU. In this case, we have the IMU from the mobile mapping system, is a Leica, and another IMU from the virtual vehicle is the XSense IMU. So if this plot is just to show you that one of the most important parts for using the inertial measurement units is the calibration, the stochastic model of this IMU. So we are working on this. It's not so easy to do this because of the different frequencies, the range, and the performance, because one is tactical navigation IMU, the other is a MEMS. So we are working on this in the estimation to use it to improve our trajectory. We have the results of the first test campaign, but not yet the second test campaign. So I think I'm on time, I guess, and thank you very much.
So now, thank you, Marta. Now we have Filipe Carvalho from Demos Engenharia presenting GNSS Engineering Innovations. I would just like to inform that we expect a 20 minutes delay from the coffee break, so we ask the remaining speakers to be brief.
Eu não sei se está a funcionar. Okay. Okay. Hello. Thank you for having me. So my name is Filipe Carvalho, and I'm from Demos. And today I'll be presenting to you the participation of Demos in the GAMMS project. No problem. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'll be talking briefly about the role of Demos in the GAMMS project. I'll be telling you about what we implemented for the project, so our G3 star GNSS receiver, with special focus on the Galileo differentiators, such as the high accuracy service and the OSNMA. And then I'll also give you a brief overview of our results of the project. So first, the role of Demos in this project is to provide a Galileo GNSS receiver. So you can see there the G3 star receiver that we developed for the project. It is capable of processing triple band GNSS, so it processes E1, E5, and E6 signals. It is capable of making use of the differentiator features, the high accuracy service and OSNMA, which I will explain a bit later on. It integrates chip scale atomic clock and was also integrated with the navigation computer, which is running the Nexus software that Marta presented before. So here you can see more intuitively where we stand in the project. The G3 star receiver is one of the several sensors used in the project. So it provides its outputs to the navigation computer. And then together with the outputs from the other sensors, all these outputs are provided to NEXA, and it performs sensor fusion in order to compute a trajectory. And then this trajectory is later used by GeoSat in order to generate the HD maps. So for the project, we had to implement a new hardware platform that supports an external clock source for the chip-scale atomic clock. It is also a multiprocessor system on chip, so it features an FPGA and a dual-core processor with one core running a custom Linux distribution and another one running a real-time operating system. So with this setup, we can process triple-band GNSS, but I would like to focus on the specifically on the E6 signals, because they broadcast the high accuracy service data. So I'll try to not be too technical, but basically the receiver obtains the signals from the Galileo constellation, E6 signals. These signals are demodulated and undergo a first layer of decoding in order to obtain the navigation data. Up until this point, this is standard procedure for all Galileo signals, but with HAZ, there is a second layer of encoding, and this is because HAZ provides a relatively large amount of data. So this second layer of encoding is used to speed up the reception of this data by the receiver. So we had to implement a second decoder for this, and then once the data is decoded, we can use it. So it contains the high accuracy service corrections. We can send the data to the navigation computer and then to NEXA. So here you can see more physically how it goes. So the receiver has an RS422 interface, which is where the arrow is pointing. So basically, the receiver outputs not only the high accuracy service data, but also measurements and other navigation data to the navigation computer, where we have a custom application that takes all that data and then provides it to the NEXA system running there. So now that you got an idea of what we did for HAZ, let me tell you what we did for OSNMA. So first, I'd like to explain why this service is relevant. So Ismail already talked about spoofing very briefly, but basically, if you don't know, spoofing is when a third party, usually with malicious intent, broadcasts a false signal with the aim of disrupting a receiver. So in this context, that would mean that a third party would provide a signal, let's say disguised as a Galileo signal, and this can be quite disruptive for an autonomous vehicle because it can trick the receiver into thinking it is somewhere else or that it is going in a different direction, which is obviously problematic. It could cause an accident. So in order to deal with this, the OSNMA service is implemented. It is a navigation message authentication service, meaning that it allows a receiver to be sure that the data it receives and the signals it's processing are legitimate, come from a legitimate source. So this service is broadcast over E1 signals. It has, let's say, a very low data budget. You can see there are 40 bits for each navigation page, which translates to 20 bits per second, which is not a lot. So that's why this protocol has had to come up with a clever way of doing this authentication, especially because we want to authenticate lots of data, and it also supports cross-authentication. So that means that one satellite can provide OSNMA data that allows the authentication of a different Galileo satellite. So I'll explain try to explain in a simple way how this is processed. This is a bit of a complex authentication scheme, but basically we can say it goes in 4 steps. So step 1, as you can see in this on the right on that picture there, we use a digital signature to authenticate several parameters. This is like, you know, when you sign a PDF file, it's the exact same way. So we can authenticate some parameters, especially one which is the Tesla root key. And this root key is very important because it is the basis of the authentication scheme moving forward. So you can see there on the left, that's a log from the OSNMA module that we implemented. And you can see this first step being successfully performed. So we received the digital signature, we authenticated it, and now we have a trusted root key. So then we can move to step 2, and now we go into the core of the authentication scheme here. Basically, the OSNMA service provides several keys throughout time, and these keys are associated with a given navigation message. So then, the point of having this root key is that it is cryptographically linked to these other keys. So whenever we receive a key, we can use an algorithm in order to prove that this key is associated with this root key. So once we do that, because this root key is trusted, now we have another key which is also trusted. Then next step is to take this key, take the corresponding navigation message, and then we compute what is called the message authentication code. Okay? So this is what we are doing there. So on the left, on that log, we successfully authenticated the key, and we generated a message authentication code. And then we can go to the final step. So once we have this message authentication code, we compare it to a message authentication code that corresponds to this message that is also provided by the service. And if they match, that means the message was successfully authenticated. So we can see there, this step, basically, the OSNMA module was successfully able to authenticate the navigation message by matching both message authentication codes. So now I'll be showing you some more results from the project. Basically, we integrated the receiver with the remainder of the GAMMS subsystems. You can see here in this picture, it's a picture from the trunk of the autonomous vehicle. So the receiver is there in the middle, and it is connected to the navigation computer, which is there on top left, to the chip scale atomic clock, which is on the bottom left, and the GNSS splitter on the top right, which is getting GNSS data from GNSS signals from the antenna and distributing those signals through the receivers used in the project. So once the receiver was integrated, it participated in the test runs that we did in the field tests. So we drove around the city of Graz with the autonomous vehicle. So you can see in this is the trajectory computed by the receiver. So the starting point is there on the top right. So it's the campus from where we started. Then we follow the trajectory and we arrive in the tunnel. So in the tunnel, there is of course no GNSS reception. The signals are blocked. So we don't have a trajectory computation in that area. And then once we exit the tunnel, there is still some, let's say, some blackout. This is because the receiver cannot immediately start computing the trajectory again, because it needs to do reacquisition and tracking of the signals. So it takes a little bit to start computing the trajectory again. Finally, we were also able to obtain high accuracy service data from the signal in space in the project. So here you see just an example of the data that we obtained. This was obtained from a second test campaign. Basically, you can see some orbit corrections and some code bias corrections for Galileo signals that we received, and that were then provided through the interfaces that I explained to Nexa. So thank you very much. Hopefully I was on time.
And now we welcome Selim Solmaz from Virtual Vehicle, discussing real-world system integration.
So, good morning, everybody, from my side. My name is Selim Solmaz. I'm with the Virtual Vehicle Research Center, located in Graz, Austria, and I'm the group leader of control systems within the Department of Electrics, Electronics, and Software. And I'm responsible for the GAMMS project on behalf of Virtual Vehicle. And in GAMMS project, we are mainly responsible for automated vehicle content that you have heard several times today. And I will give some details of what we implemented and what the results we got. So I will, for those of you who don't know Virtual Vehicle, I will just briefly start with an introduction of Virtual Vehicle and then describe our automated vehicle setup and describe also the test we have done in terms of integration of the other components from partners and also the test campaigns that were implemented and followed by some future directions that we can explore together. So, in a nutshell, so this is our headquarters. We are located in Graz, which is in the south of Austria, not far away from the Slovenian border. Officially founded in 2002. We are an applied research institute within the TU Graz campus. And it started as a center for developing vehicles, basically, so automotive vehicles, utilizing virtual development tools. But in the past 25 years, it has grown into an international player, a solid player in the European project context with a large worldwide network with corporations also getting beyond the European Union. And main domains for us is automotive and rail, and also expanding into other topics like robotics, energy, healthcare, and defense. And Virtual Vehicle is a bridge between academia and industry. It's not for-profit organization. It's a non-profit organization, research organization, official and RTO, and getting its funding from national and international funding resources. So with funded projects from EU exceeding now at the moment 50 ongoing projects and completed track record of more than 100 Horizon projects or EU-funded projects. Right, just stressing out the main operational domains of automotive and rail and other areas that we work on. Now, having said that, let's move on to the content of the GAMMS project. So in GAMMS, all the details are not very important, but so we were responsible for the task about the development of the autonomous vehicle, which you have seen earlier in the other presentations. And autonomous vehicle is not developed for the project itself, so it is an existing vehicle from before and that we use in research projects, but adapted, of course, to the requirements of this project. And basically, our task in this context is to development of the AV setup to the GAMMS needs, implementation of the interfaces with all the other partner devices, and enable the interfacing for post-processing as well as real-time processing. So this includes also streaming of the test data in real-time context, and also software adaptations required for the HD map generated within this project for navigation purposes. So having spoken about the autonomous vehicle, so you see the vehicle in its demonstrator version, the second task campaign on the bottom right, with the Leica Pegasus system installed on top. So it is a generic test vehicle with open interfaces enabled by the DataSpeed ADAS interface. So this means that we have access to all the CAN data of the vehicle, and we can control its behavior. thanks to onboard processing capabilities, which is not unique. So we have multiple PCs installed in the vehicle coming from NVIDIA, Intel, and TT Tech. But we, for all our implementations in this project, we used an Intel PC where all the navigation and autonomous software is running. It has additional perception sensors that you can see in the center figure from the top view, which include the typical automotive perception sensors, so lidars, cameras, and radars, including a 4D imaging radar, which is available depending on the project context. For the autonomous driving purposes that we have implemented in GAMMS project, we mainly utilize the lidar sensors, and the onboard sensors that we utilize in this context include three lidars mounted on the roof of the vehicle that you see on the illustrations. In terms of EE architecture, you see on the left. I won't go into detail. So most of the communication between the periphery components run over a local network through a switch, and our main autonomous software is based on the AutoWare AI software, and running on a Linux PC. So here is just some snapshots of the vehicle configuration in the first test campaign configuration. On the right-hand side, you see the Robin mobile mapping system installed in the first test campaign, and the back trunk view that you have already seen before. And what we did in addition, from autonomy software stack perspective, we imported the HD map generated within the project from GeoSat into our software stack, and we also did refinements of the HD map based on our requirements for the software. And we also enabled a live streaming solution that we also put on the multimedia. So from the multimedia and also for during the live demonstration of our technology during the test drives. And what you see on the right-hand side is the digital map that we used in this context, which is based on a point cloud, and also some a closer view. And on the bottom right, you see how our vehicle with its lidar sees the environment. So this is actually the view that we utilize as the decision-making source for our autonomous software. So basically, the lidar is used for localization using the HD map, and then route is planned. So the given destination utilizing this localization data. And the route that you see is not actually the road itself, it's the lanelet that is an essential component of the HD map that we utilize. And this was also generated by our partner, GeoSat. So we were also responsible for the work package 5, which is about the system integration. Of course, these details are not very important, but this is also accompanying our responsibilities in the work package 4, where we enabled access to our demonstrator vehicle and in its final configuration that we name as the GAMMS prototype utilized during the second test campaign. So here you see the mounting of Robin mobile mapping system by our colleagues from GeoSat in the test campaign 1. This is again test campaign 1 configuration of the mobile map, localization solution that we have seen from Felipe's presentation. And here another partner, Solid Potato from Finland. Before the first test campaign, they also visited GRAS to generate a roadware map or road surface profile to be used as a comparison basis for the test campaigns, the maps that we generated for test campaigns, and we see their configuration on their vehicle, which is based on lidar technology as well. But details, I don't know too much. So you have already seen this trajectory, so I won't talk too much about it. But so we chose this trajectory within grass to include multiple factors, including multipath, tunnels, cluttered environments, and how they interact with the automated driving system and mobile mapping solutions. On the bottom right, you see the starting point of the automated driving circuit that was part of this so the route that we chose. We tested here because so actually we cannot test autonomous driving overall, so it's only allowed under certain permissions within certain areas, and this was one of them, and that's why we did it here. So, but theoretically we could also drive all the route autonomously, but we had to restrict it to this region because of the permission and legal requirements. So this is just a picture from the first test campaign with the Robin system mounted on. And in the second test campaign, so we see the Leica Pegasus system, which was chosen to improve the mobile mapping system performance. It was significantly bigger, therefore required new mountings and larger structure to carry it on. And here is the adapted configuration of the GNSS solution that was also described by Felipe, with an addition of the chip-scale atomic clock into the configuration. And here is the HD map that was generated in the second test campaign. So this is just a snapshot of the 3D point cloud serving as the HD map for the autonomous software system, and green points are the LiDAR points used for positioning, which we ran typical on 10 Hertz. And without this localization, actually, our autonomous software won't work. So, and we have seen from the GNSS only solutions that this is actually not happening, especially in areas where we have multipath or some occluded areas or tunnels. So we need alternative solutions for this. And at least in the context of this project, we implemented a LiDAR-based localization solution, which provides most of the times better than 10 centimeter accuracy at 10 Hertz, which is sufficient for our automated driving software solution. So this is the full vehicle in the test campaign 2 configuration, so we call this GAMMS prototype. So here's just a snapshot of how it feels like to drive autonomously in our vehicle. So HD map is used as part of the automated vehicle software stack, which consists of two main aspects. One is the point cloud data. So this is, let's say, our base HD map, and lane data, which is based on the Lanelet 2 format. And this is actually used for decision making and navigation. So these two essential components enable us to drive autonomously. This is how the vehicle sees its environment with its RVIS visualization system. I also had a snapshot of this before, so a bit larger. So this is actually what the vehicle sees. Yeah? Now, a short video about how the autonomous system drives in this part of the autonomous circuit. So it's activated. So we have a safety driver. Again, this is a legal requirement, but all the operation is autonomous at the moment. Now, at the start of this part, we drive through a tunnel, which is actually causing problems for the GNSS-based localization system. But thanks to the LiDAR-based solution and the HD map that we utilize, we don't have any ODD gap there. And this is actually a part of a public road. It's used mainly by buses, but we have the permission to also drive along, and we can also react to their behavior as well. We won't see this as part of this video, but we can also react to their behavior. Yes, it's not very exciting to see, I know, but this is how it works simply. Right, so this was the end of the part where we drive autonomously. Right, so just to also point out the difference would be between HT-map-based navigation and GNSS-based navigation or localization. So HT-maps in this context enables us high accurate positioning in also challenging areas, and this can be one of the ways or solutions to address the ODD gaps, right? Operational design domain gaps. Here from our test drives, you see the difference between GNSS-based localization and LiDAR-based localization, where when we go under a tunnel or some motorway bridges or some occluded areas, we see a big shift in accuracy of GNSS-based localization, which is the main problem why we cannot use it in safety-related context, because it is not always available. So we need to find solutions where we can maybe integrate both, where we can utilize the benefits of both, right? And there's a lot of work going on in this perspective. And you see the difference between the orange route from GNSS only to the blue route, which is based on LiDAR and HT map-based navigation, right? During a passage of 50-meter tunnel. Right, so coming to the last slide. So what we have seen in GAMMS project is that automated HT map generation for use in ADAS AD context, so automated driving and advanced driver assistance systems context is possible. So we did this, and also platforms and solutions to automatically generate such maps is possible, right? So we have shown this. And we are also asking us, how can the road wear information be integrated into the AD decision making? Maybe it was not a major focus of the GAMMS project, but it was one of the major focuses of the sister project of GAMMS, where we were also part of, so which is named ESRIUM. There we have looked into utilization of road wear information for generation of safety messages, specifically road recommendations, so maneuvering recommendations for connected traffic in the form of lane change and in lane offset recommendations. And for this as well, we need good localization. So our requirement in this ESRIUM project was better than 30 centimeter localization, which makes sense for at least a lane in lane offset recommendation. So the idea or proposition there was to use this information to avoid damaged parts of the road, to prevent damage to the and comfort disrupting conditions for the passengers of a car. So this is the example from ESRIUM, and there's also a follow-up activity to the ESRIUM project with the almost same consortium. It's called SRCOMD, which started late last year, and there specifically actually the main focus is the standardization of the solution generated in ESRIUM for road wear map. But as virtual vehicle, we are then looking into the specific question of how temporary and short-term safety hazards automatically be detected and communicated to the oncoming traffic. And this is what we are interested in doing. And maybe an open question to us all is, can mobile mapping and road risk detection for AVs be automatized in crowdsourced sense, right? And this is also something we would like to answer with our partners in the coming years. With this, I'm coming to the end of my presentation, and thank you very much.